This week's Parshat, Lecha, starts with God telling Avraham to leave his homeland, his father's home, and travel to a new land, an undisclosed location. This is the first of Avraham's 10 trials, 10 tests. The famous question asked is, what's the purpose of a test? Why is God testing him? So the Ramban gives a well-known answer that God's not testing him. God is giving him an opportunity. God knows that he's going to pass the test. But because action is more valuable and more rewarded than potential, God is giving him the opportunity to transform himself to become a greater person by actualizing his potential. So basically, action is more valuable than thought, than intention, than potential. Why is this? And also, what does it mean when Kabbalists call our world the Olam HaAsiya, the world of action? So, thoughts are, everybody has good thoughts, bad thoughts, neutral thoughts. Thoughts are constantly flowing through our minds all day, all night. And until a thought is acted upon, it has very, very little effect in our world. It's ephemeral, and it just exists in a jumble of other thoughts. Once it's acted upon, it's anchored in our real world. It starts to have an effect. It could have massive effect. All action starts with thought, but that's when it's actualized with an action in our real world. That's when it has an effect. So there's a well-known Jewish joke of it's better to have a business partner that's a thief than a business partner that's a fool, because the thief with his bad intentions will make sure you make enough money to not be suspicious of him, whereas the fool with his good intentions is going to bankrupt both of you. Basically, you can't deposit thoughts in the bank, good thoughts or bad thoughts. The Kabbalists say that when God created us in His image, that Tselem Elokim, what this means is that God created our body and intellect corresponding to the 10 Sfirot. That the 10 Sfirot were a construct that God created to interface with His universe, and He gave us this same construct. The 3 upper Sfirot correspond to our intellect, and the 7 lower Sfirot correspond to our various parts of our body. What this means is that we're godlike in our personal world, in the same way that God uses the Sfirot to interact with His universe. He's given us a body and intellect for us to interact with our personal world. Our personal world is that place where when we open our eyes, what we see, that's our personal world. And our body and intellect is our way of acting upon that. What this means is that we're godlike in our personal world, and that we have a duty and an obligation to act and emulate God in our personal world, and bring God into our personal world. That's actually the purpose, and godliness into our personal world. That's the purpose of creation. What this also means is that we're kings of our personal world, and we're emulating our Father in heaven, the King of Kings. King is all powerful, does not give up his power. If you feel powerless in your personal world, you're actually giving up a portion of your Tselem Elokim, because you're forgetting that you're a king and the son of the King of Kings, and a king is not powerless. With this understanding, it's clear why thoughts and intentions, while they're wonderful things and even necessary things, they're not really what we're about. When we emulate God in our actions, we bring godliness into our personal world. When we do the opposite, we bring ungodliness into our personal world. Our thoughts and intentions change this equation very, very little. It's the actions that bring effect into our personal world. During these difficult and stressful times, when the forces of darkness and ungodly corruption in the general world are so strong and intense and overwhelming almost, it would help for us to remember that we're at Tselem Elokim, and by definition we have the power and even the ability and even the duty to refashion our personal worlds into a world of godliness and holiness. I would like to suggest, in honor of our forefather Avraham, the man that did more to bring godliness to earth than any other man in history, that we invest a few minutes each day in taking action to make our personal world a better place. But before we perform this action, we should meditate on our strength and power as a Tselem Elokim, and how we're using this strength and power granted us by God to create this positive action and effect in our personal world. As an idea from my own life, I have not spent enough time reaching out to friends and family to see how they're doing, sharing in their lives, and demonstrating my love for them. This has created a distance in my relationships with people that internally, in my thoughts and feelings, I truly love and care for, but externally, in my world of action, they rightly do not know or appreciate the extent of my feelings for them. I hereby undertake b'li neder to communicate with at least one friend or family member daily and meditate beforehand on the significance of this action, how I am using the power granted me by God to bring positive change to my personal world. I want to bless all of you to find your inner Tselem Elokim, and that you harness your God-given power to effect positive change in your own personal worlds. In this merit, may we be worthy to greet Mashiach together very soon in our days. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom from Renana, Israel.